I just want to ask one thing. Who on God's green earth thought it would be a good idea to make this movie 2 hours and 49 minutes long? I really want to know. It Chapter 2. It Chapter 2 is the sequel to 2017's It, and this is basically the second half of the book, and it stars James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, Bill Skarsgård is back. You also have, what are the other names here? We got Isaiah Mustafa, we got Jay Ryan, James Ransone, is that how you pronounce his name? Andy Bean. And basically this movie is the second half of the book, as I said, and it covers basically the story of it with the Losers Club as adults. And then, so after something happens in Derry, it's been 27 years since the Losers Club as kids last went up against It, or Pennywise the Dancing Clown, whatever you want to call him. But yeah, It has returned 27 years later, and then one member of the Losers Club, he witnesses something happen with It, and then he calls the Losers Club back together, and then they have to defeat It once and for all. Oh boy. Strap yourselves in, guys. This one's going to be a long one. Anyway, let's get into It Chapter 2. And I have another name for this movie, but for the sake of the children watching, I'm going to keep it to myself for now. So yeah, let's get into It Chapter 2. Do I have positives with this movie? Actually, yes, I do. First off, some of the performances, like James McAvoy, I thought was one of the better characters of the movie. I thought his character was good. His character in the original 2017 film had a stutter, and they kept that with him, and I was really happy that they did. And I feel so bad for James McAvoy because he's been great in all of his movies this year. The problem is he's been in 3 really bad movies. Dark Phoenix, Glass, and now this movie, which I'll get into in a little bit, why I think it sucks. But yes, James McAvoy was the standout of the movie for me. Jessica Chastain, I thought, was also really good in this movie. Bill Skarsgård is It. I thought for the most part was fine when he's not doing stupid cartoony over-the-top crap like he did in the third act of the first It. But yeah, for the most part he was fine. Bill Hader, I'm going to get into him a little bit later, but when he's doing like dramatic stuff, he was really good. Again, when he was doing dramatic stuff, when he's doing comedy, I'll talk about that a little bit, but when he was doing like the dramatic stuff, he was really good. And there are some decent ideas within this movie that I thought could have worked. And there are actually some decent scares in this movie as well. One of them being at a scene that takes place at a baseball game. I thought that was really well done. Built up really well. And then another scene in a mirror maze, I guess, is what you would call it. In a mirror maze that I thought was really good. In terms of positives, though, that's really all I can think of. Oh boy, now we get into everything that is wrong with this movie and why I don't understand why people like it. First of all, Bill Hader. I talked about him a little bit earlier. I said when he was doing dramatic stuff, he was really good. When he goes for comedy, however, dear Lord, this guy is one of the most annoying characters of the entire year. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. His jokes are so stupid, so cartoony. Like, remember Richie in the first movie when all he did was like make mom and sister jokes and all that stupid stuff? Yeah, this Bill Hader in this movie is much like that, but his humor is just, oh my god, it's so cringeworthy and annoying. It's actually ridiculous. I don't know why people think he's the scene stealer of the movie, because again, while he's good dramatically, when it comes to comedy, he's really freaking irritating. The rest of the acting, from like the character that plays Ben and Mike and all that, just bland and forgettable. Even Eddie was forgettable. And then Stanley, they completely, like, the way that his character arc goes in this movie was just a complete waste. And it completely wastes him in the first movie as well. So, yeah, like, I don't know what the purpose of his character was at all. And let's talk about the intro to this movie, because to me, this is the worst intro I've seen to a movie all year. The first 10 minutes of this movie. Oh my god. Like, first of all, like, what some of the people do in this movie, how the hell do they get away with it? Like, where are the cops? They're never called. Stupid. And it's like, why? Why? On what planet would this happen and people get away with it? Makes no sense. So, yeah, like, some of the people, it's just so dumb. Really stupid. There's no consequences, and it pissed me off, too. It really did. Like, I almost wanted to shut the movie off after the first 10 minutes, because or I guess it was like 5 to 10, I don't know, but yeah, stupid. But another main issue I have with this movie is it tries way too hard to be Avengers Endgame. Like, when you actually break it down and look at it, I'm gonna try to avoid talking about spoilers as much as possible. There is one thing I do need to spoil later on, but I'll get to it. And I will give out another warning before I say it. But, yeah. Like, the things that they do in this movie, it's literally just trying to be Avengers Endgame. It's trying to be bigger and better. Like, when you look at it, all the Losers Club come back together. And then they just go on, and the way they have to defeat it's trying so hard to be Avengers Endgame. And it even has the 3-hour runtime, or almost the 3-hour runtime, which, by the way, this movie did not need to be that long. It could have easily cut out a good 45 minutes to an hour of this movie, and it would have been just fine. So, yeah, there was absolutely no reason this movie needed to be that long. And plus, it's so boring for the most part. It's so goddamn boring. Like, there's scenes that just drag on for so long. There's also flashbacks, which, by the way, this movie heavily relies on stuff or on elements of the first film, and it just does not work. It's over-reliant on the first film. It barely brings anything new to this movie. And then just everything that transpires within, like, the second act of this movie, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't explain things very well. And it goes on for way too long, to the point where you're bored out of your damn mind and you want to turn the movie off. And then there's the third act of this movie. Dear Lord. First of all, the CGI is absolutely goddamn atrocious. Like, this is some of the worst CGI I've seen all year. Like, this is Dark Phoenix Hellboy level bad. It's just so bad. Like, how did the editors get away with this CGI? Like, with how bad it was. Like, my God. How did this pass? Like, there's so much green screen and just all the other effects. This has some of the worst visuals I've seen all year. I'll just leave it at that. And by the way, this movie's not scary, other than the 2 scenes I mentioned earlier. It really isn't. It's really stupid and dumb as hell. Also, Henry Bowers. Remember the bully from the first It, Henry Bowers? Yeah, he makes a return in this movie as well. And he's just as cartoony as he was in the first movie. Like, what the hell? And plus, his character arc was pretty much for nothing. So, yeah, like, I don't get his purpose in this movie. It was stupid. He was over-the-top cartoon. And again, some of the things he does, it's like, how does he get away with this stuff? There's no consequences, no logic. There's absolutely no logic with him at all. It's just stupid. So, yeah. Henry Bowers, he has no purpose. He's just there to be a bully to the guys once again, or to the Losers Club once again, because he has nothing better to do with his life than just be an absolute dick for no reason. No reason at all. And yeah, I love how they try and justify his actions in the first film and in this film. Like, I love how they try and justify his actions. Yeah, that doesn't work with me. I'm sorry. It really doesn't. So, nice try, movie. You're not getting away with that from me. But yeah, let's get into the third act of this movie. And this is where I have to talk about spoilers. So, if you have not seen It Chapter 2, I recommend you skip until I get to the overall section of this review. So, yeah, just skip until it says overall on the screen. You can scroll through it. It's pretty easy to find. So, yeah. Once again, if you have not seen It Chapter 2 yet, and you don't want to be spoiled, this is your final spoiler warning for the third act of this movie. Skip to the overall section of this movie. Alright, so let's talk about the third act of this movie. Okay, so here's what happens. So, basically, Pennywise, yeah, he turns into a giant spider, except the only difference between this and the miniseries is Pennywise's face is on the spider. Horrible CGI, by the way. And his legs are like knives, basically. And they can impale you. It impales one member of the Losers Club. And yeah, so then they later figure out that the whole first 2 hours of this movie, the whole ritual thing that they had to do, they had to go find artifacts from their past and stuff. That whole section of this movie was all for naught, making it a complete waste of time. There is absolutely no need for it. And the way they defeat... I was dying laughing, how they actually defeated it in this movie. Because it's so goddamn preposterous. And it's why the hell did they not do this sooner in the movie? And how the hell did they not come up with this in the first movie? It's so dumb, and it's not even explained. Literally, all they had to do was just insult the crap out of Pennywise until he shrunk down to the size of a baby, and then they just literally grab his heart, and then they just crush it, stomp on it until it's gone, and then it's finally dead. What? Are you kidding me right now? Stupid. Absolutely stupid. Not explained at all why they didn't do this sooner. And it makes the whole first 2 hours of this movie a complete waste of your goddamn time. So yeah, that pissed me the hell off. It really did. It's one of the worst ways to end a movie. Oh, but C.A. Cougar, you gotta read the book, because you need to read the book to fully understand it. How about I take the book, and I take 40 other copies of the book. I go with my friend that I saw this movie with. Yeah, she hated this movie too, by the way. And we watched it online. We didn't see it in theaters. How about I go with her? We go to a nice little camping spot on Granite Mountain, which is about 10 miles away from me. And we'll just go to a nice camping spot, and we'll use these books as fuel for a campfire. How about that? So yeah, before you say any hipster garbage like that, yeah, screw all those people that tell me I need to read the book. So yeah, that's really how the movie ends. And then of course you have one member of the Losers Club ends up dying because he was impaled by the spider legs, and then Bill Hader's crying over him. I will admit that was kind of a touching moment, but still, just the way it all transpired was so stupid. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about the ending to this movie. Let's just move on before I lose my mind. Alright, so yeah, as you can probably tell, I hated this movie. It was stupid. It was not scary. It was not funny. Some of the acting, especially Bill Hader's jokes that he tries to go for, not funny. Some of the characters, like Henry Bowers, are over-the-top and cartoony, and even Pennywise was over-the-top and cartoony. The intro was horrible. The middle act was just plain boring. And the final act just makes it so that the first 2 hours of the movie are a complete waste of your goddamn time and absolutely have no purpose at all. And yeah, it was so stupid the way this movie ended. So yeah, with that being said, It Chapter 2, it's garbage. It's absolute garbage. It's one of the worst movies of the year. It's not as bad as Child's Play, I will say that. I do think Child's Play is worse, because there are some good redeeming aspects to this movie. Like I said, Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy, Bill Hader when he's not doing stupid comedic stupid garbage. I had to contain myself there. Stupid comedic garbage. And a couple of decent scenes. The baseball scene and the mirror maze scene. And of course the decently heartfelt moment involving Bill Hader's character toward the end of the movie. Other than that, this movie was just a complete garbage fest. And before you tell me I need to read the damn book to understand everything that goes on to the movie, they're two different mediums. If I have to rely on another source material or another medium to understand what happens in a movie, the movie fails. Simple as that. Boom. Hands down, case closed. Don't tell me I need to read the book anymore. Because if you do, I'm not going to take that comment seriously. So, yeah, do not tell me I need to read the book. I seriously hate that excuse that people give to defend a movie. I seriously hate that. I don't care how faithful this movie was to the book. If you have to rely on another source material to understand a movie, the movie fails. So, yeah, with that being said, It Chapter 2, I'm going to give It Chapter 2 a 20% rotten rating. That is a D-. Alright, and there's my review of It Chapter 2. As you can tell, I didn't like it. There's no logic to it for me. So, yeah, if you did enjoy It Chapter 2, more power to you. Make sure to let me know down in the comments below what you thought of It Chapter 2 if you have seen it. And, yeah, what's your favorite Stephen King movie? Make sure to let me know down below. Mine is The Shining. It always has been. I don't think anything's ever going to top it. And, by the way, I am looking forward to Dr. Sleep later this year. Hopefully that'll be a lot better than this garbage dumpster fire of a movie was. But, yeah, make sure to let me know down in the comments below what you thought of this movie. Make sure to subscribe to my channel for more reviews, more content to come in the future. And until next time, once again, my name is the California Cougar. And always remember to stay California cool. Peace.